Most people have no idea that you're supposed to flush out a water heater at least every couple of years. Now the one you're looking at here has not been done in over 12 years. Now this is super important because you can have rust and sediment that build up inside. And doing this can actually help increase the amount of hot water you can get, and it might save you replacing one of these tanks that can cost as much as $2,000. And I'm going to show you the simplest way to flush one of these out. You don't have to shut the power off or the water supply to the tank itself. Just look for that valve in the bottom, connect up some type of a garden hose, and then you want to slowly open the valve. Now remember that water is scalding hot, so it's not a good idea to wear shorts because if it gets on you, you might get burned. Now as I started to drain out the water into this container, you can see it's not looking very good. Now this water is the same as your drinking water and it should be crystal clear. Now this tank looks so good on the outside, I figured it had gotten flushed last year or maybe a year before, but you can see in the second bucket, it got even worse. Now this isn't too uncommon because as that sediment gets stirred up, you're going to get even deeper into the bottom of the tank. And you can see this water is looking really nasty. So there's no way I'm going to be able to do this job with a bucket. So I grabbed my hose length reel and I'm going to connect it to the tank, and now I can run that hose outside and let this stuff drain out a lot longer. Now many people think you don't need to flush these out at all because as you use hot water, you'll get rid of that debris on its own. But unfortunately that doesn't work. The tank is designed so that the hot water goes out the top of the tank. All that sediment builds up on the bottom because the manufacturer expected that you would flush it out regularly. Now you can use your own water pressure to push all that debris right out the bottom. As you open up the valve, you can see the water coming out is still pretty dirty and it's definitely not looking good. But in just a few minutes, we'll begin to see it start to clear up, and you really should expect that the water coming out of this tank should be crystal clear. And this is really going to vary depending on where you live. Now the well water I'm on is actually surprisingly good, so the debris I'm getting here definitely tells me that this tank had never been flushed in its 12-year lifespan. And if you've never flushed your tank out, I wouldn't panic, but you'll definitely want to give it a try and see what kind of water comes out. Now here I needed to run this for about 15 minutes until the water finally cleared up, and this is looking a whole lot better. Now as you're running all this cold water in, your hot water tank is going to sense that the temperature dropped and immediately turn the thing on. So you're going to be wasting some energy while the water is running through, but for just 15 minutes it's not really going to make a big deal, and I'd rather do this than turning off all the water valves, and you might accidentally get your tank to run dry or cause another problem. So if you've got a valve like that on the bottom of your tank, I'd recommend doing this hose method. It's easy to do, it's quick, and your end result should be crystal clear water like this, and it's going to save you money in the long run and maybe extend the life of your tank. But the single most important tip I can give you is about that valve. These are valves that don't get used very often. In fact, it might never have been turned at all. So once you finally opened it up, you might be able to flush out your tank, but when you turn it off, that water might be dripping a bit. So it's really important that you get yourself one of those caps that you can put over the end of the valve, so in case you have a leak, you'll be able to immediately stop it, and that cap could stay in there indefinitely. Years ago, getting a new water tank could cost about $500, but in today's prices, these things cost a fortune, and trying to even get a plumber to your house is definitely not an easy task. So anything you can do that's simple and can really extend the life of your water heater is definitely something you want to consider. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already for more videos coming up.